Welcome back to the FOUNDationYOU Podcast, a space dedicated to making you the best version of yourself. It really does start with you. I'm your host, Dr. Young Dord, and today we're talking about something we don't prepare people enough for. What happens after the career you've built your whole life around is over? We planned financially for retirement, but we don't talk about the emotional side, the identity shift, the question of who you are when the job title is done, and whether life gets smaller or bigger. By the way, alongside this podcast, I just built an online course for helping professionals, people who feel called to share their knowledge online and want support using AI. That course is live on my website. Go to FOUNDationYOU.com for more info. Today's guest is AnnMarie Ferreri, a recently retired science teacher who spent 34 years in education, much of that time serving as a lead and mentor to others. She's also been married for many years to a supportive partner and is the proud mom of 2 daughters and a son who are now chasing their own dreams. Her one daughter is a social worker, her other daughter is going to vet school next year, and her son is in his second year of law school. Instead of slowing down after retirement, AnnMarie chose reinvention. She's diving into art and creative expression in a way that's redefining what this stage can look like. Her story is about courage, curiosity, and giving yourself permission to start over at any age. If you've ever wondered what comes next or felt afraid of change, this conversation is for you. All right, well, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited. It's my first time doing a podcast, so I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it for
well,
the
this
whole
is
week.
a newly podcast, so we're both kind of newbies.
It's okay.
So let's get into it. I'd like to start with, after 34 years of teaching, which is insane, what was it like walking away from that chapter?
Well, it was really weird. I have to be honest. When anybody says you retired, or if anybody says after 30 years, it's almost like a surreal thing. I can't even believe it now. It's been 8 months. And
Oh, it has been that long.
It's been 8 months already, and it just flew by. And I'm like, it's weird. It doesn't even feel real, even to this day. And I'm not really sure why, but walking away felt really weird. But I have to say also, I planned for it for a long time. Mm-hmm. So I have a great husband, and he's a real planner. And he wanted to make sure I had all my ducks in a row and I was ready to go. And so about 2 years before my actual retirement date, we started planning financially. You always have to do that. Mm-hmm. And then what's it going to look like after I retire? Will be financially set, and what do I want to do? And so I thought I was prepared for it. And then after it was over, it's still kind of weird. I still don't really feel like that part of my life is gone yet, even though it's been 8 months.
Right. Oh, wow. I can't believe it's been 8 months already. I feel like we just had your party.
I know. It was a great party, too.
So would you say you had a mix of feelings? Were you scared? Were you nervous? Tell me your emotions.
That, I would say, I guess I started really planning for it about a year before. And I kept saying in my head, I don't have to retire if I don't want to, but what are some of the other things I could do? And I have to say it was like very scary, because I kept saying to myself, you do something for so long, it becomes part of who you are.
Right.
And so I've always felt for a long time that, I was in the right place with teaching. I was really good at it. I loved it every day. Loved seeing the kids. The kids keep you young. They're a huge part of in your life. And I was scared, like very scary. It's like this big dark tunnel in front of you, and what do you do? But as it got closer, it got more exciting. And then after I actually took that leap, because it was about 1 year ago this week that I had to make the decision, because
Right.
you have to make the decision
Like
by that February break,
right.
and you have to send in your letter. So I drew up the letter, my intention of retirement, shook in my hands, and looked at it 1,000 times,
Right.
and then finally sent it in, and it was just like a big relief.
Yeah.
And after that, it was sad because it was like everything was the last time.
Right.
The last time I'm teaching about these rocks. And it's the last time
last
I'm
time
going
you take
to
a field trip. Last time you do this.
Yeah. The last time
you go to a parent meeting or.
Yeah. I've had a lot of friends who have retired, and they're like, "Yeehaw! It's the last time I'm doing this activity," and then they like toss it out. And I never felt that way. I always felt kind of sad.
Right.
One of the things that hit me the hardest was, Jesus, time goes fast.
Yeah.
People always say, time goes fast, it goes so fast, enjoy it. They're not kidding around. It goes fast.
Yeah. I mean, 34 years probably went fast.
Flew by. I feel the same, I think,
as
I did when I started.
Yeah.
When
did you start?
I started in 1991.
Oh
I
my
started.
God, okay.
That's like how old it sounds like so long ago.
Yeah.
And it's funny because now, as you know, I'm in school again, and the kids in school are all like, wow. When I talk about when I started teaching and how long I've started teaching and what things were like, because they asked me 1,000,001 questions, it feels weird saying it, but I don't think I feel any different.
Right.
And then it just goes by like a burst, and all of a sudden you're here. Retirement doesn't feel real. It's weird.
Right.
It was a really weird experience.
Right. I bet you that first day, though, of school, you felt, I don't have to get up, right? And you're probably like, oh, my God, that's amazing.
The first day after retirement?
Yeah.
Yeah, the first day after retirement was a weird one.
Right.
I just kind of walked around aimlessly a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, did you feel lost? Did you feel like, where do I go from here?
I didn't really feel lost or anything because it was summer vacation.
Right.
And
true.
I've had so many of those. So it was like, oh, yeah. And every year when the last day of school comes, it's so exciting. And then you have summer vacation ahead of you. So you always give yourself a couple of weeks to just hang out.
Decompress.
And so it didn't really hit me then either.
Right.
But it was a fun weekend because it was the last day of school, and then it was my nephew's graduation, so we celebrated that from high school. And then the next day, Sunday, it was a surprise retirement party for me. So it was like a weekend of like just fun and excitement.
Okay.
And so it was a very happy time, I have to say, that one first weekend.
Right.
But then the week after that, it just felt like summer for a while.
Right. And then what about the first day of school?
Well, actually, I have to say, because normally what I would do is I'd let myself have July, and then August is when I would start preparing for school again.
Right.
Getting all your lesson plans together, thinking about what the year has ahead. And I was a lead teacher, too, of my department, so I would be thinking about, what do I have to get together for everybody? And I'd text everyone and say, what do you need? And I want to make sure I ordered everything. And when August came, I started to feel like, I don't have to do any of that. That's like off the table. I don't have to worry about any of that.
Right.
And then when the first day of school came, it was super weird, but I wasn't as sad as I thought I was going to be. I can't lie about that. Right. I spent the day with my cats and just chilled out. And then my other retired friends all texted me and they were like, yay! So it was a good feeling. I'm not going to lie about that one.
Did you have any grief towards your last role versus what you're doing now?
I don't think I ever really felt grief. And the reason why is because in my life, I've thought of everything in terms of almost like chapters. One chapter leads to the next chapter, and have learned over time. As you get older, you get wiser. It's absolutely true. And as I've gotten older, I've realized that you can't look back too much. You have to kind of look back on what you've done in the last chapter as a learning experience and celebrate everything that was wonderful about it. And not that I suppressed the sadness, but I just learned to accept it. And I learned to accept the sadness and say to myself, it was great and I played a role. So when I looked back at my teaching career, I said, oh man, I cannot believe time went so fast and that chapter's ending and I'm shutting that door, and I'm going to allow myself to be sad about it for a little while. So I was really sad, but I said I could always go back. I could always leave like the door open a crack, and because I did love teaching and I thought I think I was good at it. I really loved it. And I said I always could go back and do something if I feel like it. But right now it's time to close that door and move forward. And I let myself live with the sadness, because how could you shut a door on 34 years of something?
No,
that was part of you.
Right.
It's going to always be part of me.
It's part of your identity.
It's always going to be part of my soul and part of who I am and what I am. And try to look at the good things, and then have the sadness and accept and just move forward.
Right.
And I was watching, I think it was maybe the Super Bowl a couple weeks ago, or whatever it was, and Jelly Roll had a great line. I was listening to him, and he said something like, in life you have to think about it like, you're driving and your windshield shows you the path ahead, and your rear view mirror shows you what's behind you. And they make it really small for a reason.
Ooh.
Because you have to not look back so much, but look forward, and realize that, how
Jelly
big that
Roll.
windshield,
Where'd you come up with
that?
that?
Like that. I know, I that's what I said, I looked at, I was watching it and I was like, oh, that's really meaningful. That's deep,
Wow.
And
he didn't come up with that.
He probably didn't, but,
That's
I
great.
appreciated it.
All right, so let's talk about your forward windshield, okay? What inspired you to start exploring cosmetology, art? How did that even happen?
So that's an interesting story, and I'll shorten it up for you, but...
No, don't shorten.
When I was young, when I was going to college, I was 20, 21 years old, I had to get a job, so I went to A&S, which was like A&S Macy's. A&S was a big department store. And I went in there, applied for a job, and thought nothing of it. And they automatically, the people that were interviewing me said, well, how would you like to work for our cosmetics department? And I said, sounds good, sounds exciting. And I ended up getting a job with Revlon, the Revlon company. And so I was one of those girls that worked in the cosmetic area. You see them giving like little spritz of perfume and things like that. But Revlon picked me up, and I worked for their company. It was a great company. I loved my time with them. They sent me for training, and I had to go to the city and just kind of discovered that exciting world that I didn't know existed. And so I loved it, and I worked for Revlon in A&S. I actually did end up working in Macy's, worked for Revlon there, and I started doing my own thing. On the side, I did makeup for brides.
Oh, wow.
I went back to Bosie's at the time. I got nail technician certification.
Oh, wow.
So for a couple of years, I would say till about like 93 or 94, I did nails, I did makeup. I got a chance to see brides on their wedding day and make them look beautiful. And it was an amazing experience. And I made a lot of money doing it too. So I was exposed to that world.
Okay.
And I've always been this person that had a lot of different interests in a lot of different things. So at the same time, I'm working for Revlon, and I'm discovering this is a cool, glamorous world. I was going to school for geology. I was a geology major, got interested in education, was taking my education credits, and I said, you know what, I'm going in this direction, I'm going to become a teacher, but someday I want to go back. And as the years went on, got married, had kids, and life gets crazy, goes fast, crazy fast, you're always busy. And I always said, I'm going to go back. Maybe I'll go back at night. Maybe I'll go back during the summer. Never did. Never had the time to. And as that retirement time came close, I started to think about it again. I'm like, maybe this would be my opportunity. I know all those things go through your head. I'm 50-something. I'm going to be going back to school for cosmetology. Am I too old? My wrinkles are going to show, whatever it might be. But I did it. I made myself do it, and I'm so glad I did.
That's awesome.
So it's kind of like, I would say that I didn't get interested in it. I actually just kind of like had that longing from the past.
Got it. And it just came back after you're now retired, so you want to get back into it.
It seems just as glamorous as it did back then.
Really?
For a while I said, you know what? Maybe I'm just remembering it wrong.
Right.
Maybe it was like a lot... Maybe I just think it's a lot better than it really is, but it's fun. It's really fun.
Did you ever have moments where you wanted to go back to it mid-career, mid-teaching career? Okay, so you did.
I did. I ended my career at one school district, but began it in a different one. So I began my career and worked in a Nassau County School District for 12 years or 13 years. And then after my father passed away, I took a year off. I was pregnant, and I had my third child. And then I was on maternity leave for a while and decided to take a leap of faith and try to work closer to home. My father had always told me, you got to work closer to home and you shouldn't commute too much, and I actually gave it a shot. And so in that interim, I briefly thought about it. I said, you know what, maybe if it doesn't work out, I'll go back to beauty school. And it worked out. It worked out fine. as you know. But,
Right. That's good.
but I did think about it a few times and almost went back to school at night. But just said, you know what, I'm
Well,
putting
you
the
already
kids
had your
first.
license though, right?
I had my license for nails.
Okay.
And you don't need a license really for doing makeup.
Okay.
But when you get a cosmetology license, it's kind of all falls under the same umbrella.
Got it. It's like hair, makeup, nails, all in the same thing. Got it.
So I decided I'm going for the whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah. All right. So now what does a typical day look like for you? So now you're in this different space, this artistic, creative space versus the teaching space. What's different? What's the same?
Well, it's funny because being a teacher, it was creative. You had to always think about how am I going to teach a concept, especially being a science teacher. When you go out into the world and you talk to people and they say, oh, what do you do? And you say, I'm a science teacher. Then they'll ask you, what kind of a science teacher? Oh, and I used to say, earth science teacher. And everybody would go, oh, I hated that. So, and I always had that challenge, I should say, of trying to take things that people don't love to learn about and make them fun. And so that was, I guess, one kind of creative endeavor. So I was always busy doing that. And then when I went back to school, this is just a different kind of creativity. I have to tap into a different creative outlet inside of me. And it's been really, really fun. So I guess I could say an average day, well, there's an average day of school. I get up a little bit later than I used to. I used to get up at like 5 a.m. Now I get up around 7.
Okay.
Have some coffee, hang out with my cats for a little while.
Relax. A little bit, nice relaxing morning.
Big stress on more relaxing, if possible.
Right.
But then I get together and I get to school by 8 o'clock and I go from 8 to 2:30.
Every day?
Every day, Monday through Friday.
Oh, wow.
So it's been kind of like a easier transition because I still have that Monday through Friday school schedule kind of.
Right, but you're on the other side now. You're a student now.
And the other side's a lot more fun.
Right.
I have to say.
Yeah.
There's a lot less stress involved. And, maybe my students would have argued with me about it, but I'll tell you, being a student is a lot more fun than being a teacher. A teacher is a lot of work.
Yeah.
And so, and then I go home, I'll work out and get ready for dinner and have some time with my husband and whichever kids are home at the time. Because all 3 of my children are in 3 different places in life right now.
That's awesome. A little empty nest syndrome here.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because now I'm like, wait, who's going to be home today? And it's just me, my husband, and my son right now.
Okay.
So he gets a chance to be the only child.
Okay. So I'm just curious, if you're coming from the student part now, are you judging the teacher that you have? Are you kind of like, oh, I would have done that differently, or no?
This is so funny. Yes, I definitely do that. Okay. I mean, it's very hard a lot of people may think that, oh, you retire, you could just throw that part of you away, but being a teacher is in me. It's in my soul.
Yeah, it's your identity.
Now,
right.
I remember about 6 or 7 years into my teaching career, it started to get easier and ideas start to flow a lot quicker about like how should a lesson go and how can I teach this in the right way. And that just sticks with you. And I remember realizing to myself, I might be good at this after all.
Right.
So you can't really, at least me, I can't really pry that part of me away. And when I decided to go to beauty school, I went from school to school. I picked out like 3 or 4 schools in the general area, and then I went and visited them. And so I went for some tours, went to visit them. And when I went to this particular school, I walked in and I met the teacher, Miss Tara. Little shout out to Miss Tara. She was so amazing.
Yeah.
That I automatically knew that that's where I was going to go. She's just this person that is like a kind of like a glowing personality. And you could tell right away she likes what she does. She wants everybody to learn. And she's a great teacher. So yeah, I will sometimes say, this could be taught in that way.
Right.
And like it'll come to me in my mind. I just can't help doing that.
Right.
And I never tell her about it because the way that she teaches is great, but it will come to me.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do that. But I am finding more and more each day, it's easier to slip into the student role.
Yeah.
It really is.
Back at the classroom.
Taking tests again. It's really a weird transition.
Getting your phone out.
Yeah, you know what? I have a lot more sympathy for my students because I want to check that phone.
Yeah.
Whereas as a teacher, I didn't want to.
Right.
I was too busy.
Right. Well, it's definitely better, I have to say, without the phones in school. 100 times better.
Oh, yeah. And it's funny because that just went into play, that law just went into play this year.
Right.
And I was, at the end of my teaching career, I said, damn, I wish that I would have been able to see what that was like. Because life before phones, teaching and in school was very different. Mm-hmm. Much, much better. There's a marked difference between when kids had that distraction and when they did not. Mm-hmm. So now just seeing some kids in the neighborhood and my niece who's still in middle school, I asked them, how do you like it when you can't check your phone? And whereas they were all up in arms beforehand, now most of them are like, it's fine, it's great.
They got used to it. And personally for me, I love it because they're not checking their phones every 2 seconds. They are kind of using the Chromebook a little inappropriately, but
hey, baby steps.
I know.
Yeah, I was talking to my niece about it, and she said, it's kind of good because I don't miss anything.
Right.
Like I don't miss anything the teacher says, and you
can actually pay attention. Yeah. Wow, look at that.
It's like
oh my God.
Big shocker.
Yeah. Okay, so what brings you the most joy within this chapter? What is the best thing about this chapter?
I love the questions, and I would say that the best thing about this is the ability to slow down a little bit.
Ooh.
Just to slow down and, because when I think about the past, my average day in my teaching role was like, get up really early, make sure you're prepared, teach. You're putting on a show 5 times a day.
Yep.
And that's like exhausting as it is. And then after it's over, you reflect. So making reflections on how it went. Some days went great, some days were rougher than others. And then I would spend a few hours after school was over getting ready for the next day, grading papers. So it was always busy all the time and never had a chance to slow down, always had something to do, never didn't have a to-do list that was like 20 items long. So now I really look forward to, in this part of my life, the slowing down part. Enjoying the day, stopping throughout the day to have like lunch and relax.
Actually
for an
eating.
Hour.
Actually going to the bathroom.
Yes, exactly. Going to the bathroom when you have to go to the bathroom.
When you actually have to go.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I really look forward to the slowing down part and being able to savor things, like savor every experience. I look forward to, in the future, making more choices about what I want my life to be like.
Right.
I don't have to worry about, hey, you know what, I have to put in this much time because I have to get to this level in my career. Now I could really kind of form it the way I want to form it. Spend as much time as I want to do, as I want to spend on different things that I choose. So it's having that greater power over your own life.
I love it.
If that makes sense.
No, I love it. I love it. And does that make you feel more like you now?
That's a great question. When I think about that question, about do I feel like myself, I feel like when I think about it, when I was 21, 22, 23, I didn't know who I really was. And I feel as I've gone through life, part of it is like you build yourself into what you want yourself to be. But then as you get older too, and you start to see, oh, I really like doing this, and I really enjoy doing that, it's almost like you discover who you are. So I don't know if I ever really knew who I was. Okay. I had to kind of discover who I was.
Okay. It's obviously giving you the time to discover who you are now.
So for example, I started cosmetology school and the teacher gives us these challenges to do. And we'll have a challenge where it's like, the last challenge was create a hairdo from anything but hair. And we get a bold mannequin and we have to create that. And then I say to myself, oh my God, can I do this? I'm having a mind block, etc.
Right.
And I never realized that I do have a creative side to me, like an artistic creative side that I never knew I had because I was immersed in the world of science for so long.
Right.
That this
science is kind of art technically, right? The art of science.
Everything ties together.
Yes.
everything ties together. But I never knew that I could actually, when I look at paintings and I'm like, oh, that's beautiful. Someone created that out of nowhere, and I could never do that. Or sculpture, I can never do that. And so I'm like, now I have to kind of do that, can I? And I discovered that I have that part of myself.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? I guess that is who I am.
Yeah.
You know, that's another part of who I am that I never knew was there.
Yeah. This is coming from an art teacher. But I feel like everybody has that in them. And like you said, it's just whenever you discover it.
Yeah. And like a lot of people have asked me, do you feel like yourself again? I guess that what they mean, what they're asking me is like, do I feel like I have like more control over my own life or time to do the things I want to do? And yeah, that I do. But I also feel like as I'm getting older, I'm discovering who I am.
I love that.
Maybe I never knew her before.
Right.
And now I'm like, oh, look, I could do this and I could do that. And I'm interested in all these different things.
And the fact that you love her.
I kind of do.
That's awesome. All right, so what would you say to someone who's afraid of retiring or afraid of some kind of transition or change in their life?
It's funny because I spent a long time teaching about humans and human development and how we got to be who we are, and fear is a big part of it. Fear is a primal emotion, and if we didn't have it in our evolution, I know this sounds so nerdy, but
no, I love it.
You know, it played a part.
Right.
Fear has always played a part in our evolution to be who we were, but now it's kind of backfiring on us a little bit because now that we have emotions and we are very conscious of life and what's important and what's not important, if you let fear get in your way, you're never going to be able to achieve the things you want to achieve. And it's funny because I was just talking to one of my friends who is still teaching, and he was talking to me about his fears. Because he was saying, I'm not really sure, what would I do after I retire? And I want to make sure I'm financially okay. And I've seen so many people that were friends of mine who had the same fears. They're totally normal, they're totally rational, but let them stop them from taking that next step. So they stayed in a situation. Some people, teaching is tiring. And some people get to a point where they're like, oh, I just can't do this anymore.
Burned out.
They get burned out.
Yeah.
And being too afraid to take that step. And so my advice, because I've gone through it and I was afraid and I felt all those emotions, my advice is you have to try to just trust that you're going to take that next step and everything's going to be okay. And if it isn't, you'll figure out a way to make it okay.
Okay.
And I went through it myself. I'm like, I'm going to take that next step, and if it's not everything I thought it was going to be, I'll find a new path, and I'll find something that does fulfill me, or if I have to pay my bills, I'll figure out something to pay my bills.
So it's just like the self-talk of,
it is.
It's going to be okay, everything's going to be fine. I'll make it work, everything's figure-outable.
Being your own best friend, realizing that the fear is there, but it's not benefiting you. And forcing yourself to move forward. And it's funny because I have this little voice in my head that always tells me, don't let that fear overwhelm you. Don't let it stop you. Don't let it get in your way. Just ignore it right now and keep moving ahead.
Moving forward.
Trust me, fear was blaring as I took my retirement letter and put it in the mailbox. But I was just like, no, and I pushed it to the side. So my advice would be, think about the fact that life is really short.
That's great.
We're on this planet for a short time, and you don't realize it when you're going and you're in the grind. But as you go through life and you get smarter, life's going to smack you around, and as you get older, you really understand that, and you reach the end before you know it. So you have to make sure that if fear ever tries to stop you from doing the things that you know that you want to do, don't let it get in your way. Push it out of your path.
When you said life is short, I just thought of how many people have we worked with that have retired and then passed within like a year, right? It happens. You hear about this all the time. You work 30 years for something and then you retire, and then your life gets cut off. You don't even get to enjoy what you've built. So when you said life is short, that really is the big kicker, to just move forward, just do it.
And that's what I mean about when you talk about life and life kicks you around a little bit. In my first job, in my first school district, that's where I really learned how to be a teacher and had great mentors there. I've been very blessed and very lucky my entire life to have great mentors. And I had a mentor teacher, this guy Bill, and he was amazing. He was just a young, youthful, young at heart person. And he used to embrace life like crazy. He had a beach house. He went surfing, and he just knew how to live life. And he retired. He didn't go a moment after 55. He retired at 55. And I was so happy for him. And he passed away a week before, because I remember he said to me, AnnMarie, guess what? You know, like, I'm going to wait till the first day of school, and I'm going to give you a call, because we couldn't text at that time.
Right.
We didn't have text yet.
Right.
And he said, I'm going to give you a call. He goes, and I'm going to let you know where I'm heading, because I'm not going to know until I get to the airport.
Wow.
And he was so excited about that, being able to pick his destination.
Just wherever, yeah.
And he passed away a week before that. I remember when my husband came in, my husband got the call and came in and told me that.
Oh my
and I'll
God.
never forget where I was, because it was one of those things that shock you. It just hit me like a bulldozer.
Yeah.
And then not long after that, my dad was looking forward to retirement. And my dad he was my greatest mentor. He was a teacher for 42 years.
Wow.
Brilliant man.
42 years. Wow.
He was a teacher for a long time. And he was looking forward to retirement. He couldn't retire any earlier because he had worked in the Catholic schools, and he couldn't count the time towards his pension. So when he retired, it was a grand celebration. He was so excited. Him and my mom had so many plans. And about 4 months after he retired, he got sick. He was in a coma for about 6 months, and then he finally passed away. So I would say that taught me a lesson about life and about waiting and hesitating and not taking a chance.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
I hate to bring down the podcast,
No, I kind of brought up the subject, but yeah, because it's true.
You hear that story more
but
often
that's
than not.
really what I want our listeners to understand, is that sometimes you just can't wait. You have to just make the decision and do things knowing that everything will be okay on the other side. Like you said, not to let that fear stop you, because life is so short. You just never know. So you might as well make it, the happiest life that you can from the start.
Yeah. I remember having that discussion with my sister. I said, I'm a little scared too. What if that happens to me? And she's like, take your own advice. What are you afraid about? You can't be afraid of that.
Yeah.
And it's really true. I just kind of look at it as, this is my story. This is my life. This is my story. I'm the only one who gets to write it. It's not going to be unlimited pages. And I have to make sure that I accept fear as a normal emotion that's like ingrained in all humans, and I just got to kind of try to ignore it when the time is right to ignore it. So that would be like my advice for people who are afraid. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Write your story.
All right. So for people that don't know what they love yet, as you mentioned in the beginning, before your teaching, had this love for art and cosmetology, but for people that have no idea what they want to get into, what they love, their passions, and now they're retiring, what kind of advice would you give them?
Well, like you said, it was easy for me because I always knew that was a part of my life that I wanted to explore. I loved that cosmetology and the beauty industry. But I've always been this person that likes a million things. So I said, well, I could go and get my real estate license because I love that idea. I love real estate, looking at different houses, and I guess,
Me too. Let's go into business.
Yeah, I love that. So unfortunately, I don't think there'll be enough time for me to do all the things I ever wanted to do. But I'm picking and choosing as I go along, and I'll figure it out. But one thing I have done is I started to look into offerings and like opportunities that I always knew were there, but kind of like never had time for. So sit down for a little while and think about it.
Okay.
Take a little time to relax. If it's a week, 2 weeks, or a month, or 6 months, whatever it might be. But then start looking at what is out there for you. What are your opportunities? Look at things like continuing education offerings. Look at what the library offers. Most of these things are free or really low cost, and you can see what interests you. I was looking today at continuing education at a pottery class.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, ooh, that looks so cool. And learning to play a new sport or something. You never know where that inspiration is going to come from.
Yeah. So just basically try to figure out what you want to learn.
Yeah, try a bunch of things. And you might be really shocked at what appeals to you the most. Could be something totally different.
Yeah. That's awesome. Awesome
Give
advice.
everything a shot and see where the cards fall.
Yeah. That's great advice. How do you give yourself permission to try something new without judgment?
Without judging myself, you
Yeah.
mean? I just kind of have this feeling and this attitude. I was judging myself a little bit going back to cosmetology school because I didn't give myself a chance to procrastinate. So I left teaching on July 1st and then gave myself to July 12th.
Oh, okay.
And I started looking at schools because I said, I don't want to get used to sitting and chilling out and just kind of like
Doing nothing.
Yeah. I want to see if this is where I want to go.
Right.
And I'm pushing myself in that direction. And I could say that I judge myself a little bit because I'm like, looking in the mirror, I'm not like the rest of the students in cosmetology school. I'm older, I have those wrinkles. And how are people going to perceive
really don't,
me?
by the way.
Thank you, I love you for saying that. I'm like, how are people going to perceive me? You know, walking in, and you start to have all these doubts in your head, and almost like I was judging myself. Do I belong there? Should I be doing something different? I would just, and then what I just said was to that voice in my head, shut up.
Okay.
You know, I'm
Yeah,
not
shut
letting
up.
you have that.
Yeah.
If I want to do this, I'm going to try it.
Okay.
You got to try it. And my mom used to say that to me all the time. She used to say, I really admire the fact that you'll try things. And even if you fail, you'll try again and you try again. And I think that was a great pat on my back and pushed me forward to doing that more often.
Good. Yeah, that's great advice. What's one thing that everybody should try in retirement?
Oh, it's something that I know I'm going to do, but
Okay.
I haven't done it yet. And I think everybody should try to take time to like reflect on all your chapters past.
Ooh,
And I did that.
that sounds scary for some people.
Yeah, I guess it is. But you know, like what I think that everybody should do is take a little time to sit down and just look at pictures, think about life, maybe journal.
Ooh.
I got this really nice journal, and I'm going to start writing in it now because for a while when I first had kids, I was journaling, just writing my experiences down. And I think that at the end of this chapter of my life and the beginning of a new one, I want to do that. I think that everybody should do that. I think as human beings, we stop, and at a major life experience like retirement, you say, look at all the things I didn't do yet. Or,
the negative.
you know, because that's the first thing I did. I said, oh, you know what? I have so much more to do in this career. And, you know, I had so many more ideas and I never did this and I never did that. And I stopped and thought to myself, I really shouldn't be doing this. What I should do is sit down and just kind of like journal how I feel at this point, look back and give myself credit for the things I did do. And give myself a little grace for that stuff that first comes to your mind.
Yeah.
We're so negative to ourselves.
Yeah.
So I
Negative
think that-
self-talk is just normal.
Yeah, I think that every single retiree should do that. Give yourself great credit for all the great things that you just did with all the time that you spent working so
Like
hard.
hype yourself up a little bit
Yeah.
more. Yeah.
And then say, okay, well, now we'll move forward. But I
Okay.
think everybody should stop to like take inventory, I
Okay.
guess, of their life and
Like a reflection
document
inventory.
it, put it down.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I love that. Love that. Okay, so this is your second act. What do you see moving forward? What do you want it to look like?
It's so great, this second act, because I go into it a lot smarter. You know, there's no substitute for life experience and learning those lessons as you've gone along. So in the second act now, I'm going into it a lot more sure of myself. And I'll tell you, every day when I'm at school, I have to fight that battle where it's like, can I do this? Or am I ever going to be able to professionally do this? And I'm like, yes, you will. Everybody else does it. You could do it too. And push myself ahead. So in this second act, I want to go in confident, and I realize that I want to build up another career, but I want to do it at a slower pace and do it by making decisions that I make solely based upon what makes me happy. So for example, when you go into the cosmetology world, the first thing you should do is they tell you get a job in a salon. And, you know, kind of like be somebody's apprentice.
Okay.
And I'm just like, So I'm ready to follow that. And then, sometimes I stop and I say to myself, no, I'm not ready for that yet. So my next chapter, I think, is going to be a great one because it's going to be based upon me planning out what I want to do with my own decisions and what I'm ready for in my own time.
Right. You're not making these decisions out of necessity because you need money, you need to get your career started. This is all you.
Exactly.
When you want to do it, everything.
Exactly. And the last chapter too, most people do spend a large part of their lives doing things like being a mom. And that was my first priority for a really long time. In my last chapter, being a mom, being a wife, all that's crammed into the same chapter as when you're paying the bills and working really hard at your career. And in this chapter, my kids don't need me that much anymore.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to the next chapter being where the people that I love most in the world, my husband, my children, my sisters, my mom, my friends, they could all come along for the ride and I don't have to worry about them so much, but I can enjoy it with them.
I love that.
So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what has this transition taught you about aging in general, or maybe your life in general?
I love that question so much and we could have a whole other podcast on this one.
We can, part 2.
One of the things that has been so apparent to me as I have entered this part of my life, especially in this field that I chose, is really how bad it is how society looks at aging. Like, it's just horrible. And I was watching this show the other day, and one of my favorite actresses of all time is Demi Moore. And I saw her in a show, and I haven't seen her in a long time. And I was watching this show on television, and she's great in the show. She's a great actress. But her face doesn't move. She does not even look the same. It took me a while
like plastic
to really
surgery?
realize, oh my God, that's Demi Moore.
Right.
She had so much plastic surgery. And I'm thinking to myself, how sad is this right now? She's a great actress. She's doing a great job. But it always depended upon her change. She's on this forever journey for youth to recreate youth. You can't recreate youth. It's gone. It's done. Yeah. Appreciate it when you're 20, and we never do.
Right.
But appreciate the fact also is that aging is a beautiful thing. Not only is it a gift, I have so many, I belong to this Facebook group that is kind of like morbid. And we have this Angels Facebook group where they kind of like put up, if anybody passes away that was an alumni, they put it up there and you kind of like respect that person and pay your respects. And one of the things that I think about all the time is some of my friends, they didn't get a chance to even make it to this point. And what a gift it is to get older.
Yeah.
Our society needs to look at aging a little bit differently.
Yeah.
It really bothers me how, especially women, we're on this eternal quest for youth. And our generation, Generation X as it is, I was reading about them the other day, and supposedly we look 10 years younger than our chronological age, because Generation X is just aging better, which is great. But I think we need to actually look at aging and say, well, that person is 60, 70, 80. The older you get, the more valuable you should become in society.
Well, but unfortunately, society...
And we're not doing that.
Yeah, because society bases looks on...
Yeah, but from the inside, it's funny because I like to laugh at life and laugh at situations. So it's funny because we were learning about the history of different hairstyles and how they've evolved over time. And we were in class and the teacher's teaching about it. And we went from the 20s to the 30s to the 40s, and we finally get to the 80s. Which was my heyday, the 80s. We grew up in the 80s,
Right.
80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And I started feeling the heat on me of the kids are looking at me. Because all these kids weren't even alive in the 80s, and they're all looking at me.
Here's my phone. Here's a picture of me in the 19...
Well, exactly. That's exactly what I did. I actually posted in our group chat for our class, a picture of me in the late 80s, early 90s with my huge hair.
All that.
Sticking up.
And do you remember that? I used to actually take my brush and go like this and spray it, and then just leave it.
Yeah, and that's what happened. I feel them looking at me, and I turn around that was the days,
That
girls.
was the best.
I go, that was me right there. And it's funny looking at that in a textbook. You're looking at, hey, whoa, that's history. That's yesterday. Like, it feels like it was yesterday I was doing that. And I said, yeah, this is what we used to do. We used to turn our head upside down, spray that with the Aquanet. We had so much Aquanet. We burned a hole in the ozone with it, you know. And I was telling them how we did it. And it's funny because that is a beautiful thing. Like, talking to an older person. I love to talk to older people about, like, what was it like when you were growing up? I remember asking my grandmother, what was it like living through the Depression? You know, that's so valuable. Their life experience is so valuable. And it makes me sad because I really think that we should value aging more, because it is a beautiful thing and it's a gift, like I said. But also, we should kind of look in the mirror and be okay with our wrinkles. It's not easy.
This is not easy. Yeah, I was going to say. It's not easy. I mean, it's tough. I do it every
myself,
day.
Every day. I'm examining myself because I'm looking in a mirror constantly. I sit in front of a mirror now. I stand in front of a mirror all day long. And on the left and the right, there's beautiful 20-year-old skin. And then there's me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I'm good. I'm learning to accept that a lot more.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's acceptance. It's hard. I mean, I just turned 50 and I'm like, I cannot believe I'm 50. It's just weird.
You don't feel it.
You don't. You don't.
Oh, my left hip hurts me in the morning.
Right. Yeah, my joints feel it.
That first time you feel it and things start to crack a little bit, you're like, oh, that's what they're talking about. But mentally, I feel young. And it does take a little training to look at yourself in the mirror and go, oh, I don't look the same, or I never realized that was there, or this dark spot showed up.
I think it's also different for men.
It's so different from men.
Right? I mean, because they get white hair, they look distinguished. They still have the chiseled face, and, you know, they still look great, and you're like...
Yeah, it's aggravating. Yeah. It really is. You know, I am really blessed. Like I said, in my life, I'm really blessed. I have this amazing husband who is my best friend, and he...
How long have you been married?
We will be married 30 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're going to have our 30th anniversary on July 6th. So It's been a great journey, but he is a good-looking man. And as we get older, he just gets better looking. It's so annoying. Like, you know, it's like, it really is. He just looks great all the time. And I'm like, wait a second, I want to fix myself up. Right. And I guess we look at the same age or about the same age, but why is he getting so hot? And I it's bad what they do to us poor women.
Yeah. Well, they're not going through perimenopause and menopause.
Yeah, that's right.
That's another podcast. Actually, since you're on the topic of your husband, how has he supported you in this retirement phase?
I have a greater appreciation for having him as a best friend because our relationship has been a very interesting one, because when I first met him, he was in a totally different field. He was in construction. He was working in the city. He had more of like what I consider to be a glamorous life. You're going into New York City every day. He did high-rise construction, but decided just about the time when maybe we were newlyweds, he decided he didn't want to do that anymore. And he wanted to go into a totally different field. So he went back to school, and he went through a lot of schooling. He went through undergrad, grad school. And during that time, I took on some extra jobs at school, and I was more of like the primary, money maker for the household. And he appreciated that so much. So he was kind of like, you never got a chance to do what you really wanted to do. Because I had always told him I'd love to go back and just get my certificate again, get my license. And so he did start planning retirement for me before I even started planning retirement. He was talking to the accountant and just kind of making plans. And then now when I finally made that move and I retired and I decided that I was going to look at schools, I kept asking him the same question. I was like, do you think I should do this? Do you think I should do this? Do you think I'm stupid doing this? Am I too old to do this? And he was like, no, do it. He's been very supportive. And pushes me into it. Where I could be kind of a difficult person to live with when I'm under pressure.
Okay.
So I know that I'm not always like,
right.
All sweetness and light and a wonderful. So there's been some grumpy days where I'm like, I have to take a test tomorrow, and I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. And he's like, you're good, you're doing great. So he's great. I can't thank God enough for him. And I don't know if I could do everything that I do without his support.
That's sweet. So what does living fully mean to you now?
Oh, that's another great question. So I feel like it's stopping to enjoy everything. So for example, as I got older, I realized that living a full life really means to stop and, when they say stop and smell the roses, life goes by so fast, it's almost like a blur. And so I look back at like the last 50 years of my life, and it's like there's core ideas and memories that I have. A song will bring you back. But I said in this chapter of my life, to really live it out to its fullest, I want to stop and really appreciate everything. So I take the opportunity. For example, I was at one of my son's baseball games when he was in college. Now he graduated college and he's in law school now, but I remember it was one of his last baseball games. And as I was walking along, just going to this field, I saw something really beautiful, like a beautiful path, and I took a picture of it. And I'm like, I want to remember this forever. I want to remember this moment. And so I think that living fully really means, to me, to not hesitate to do the things I want to do and to stop and appreciate every moment that you possibly can. Let life slow down a little bit. Like I said, life is so short, and every one of those precious little moments are so fleeting. Stop to remember things like that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So this is the Foundation You podcast. So I'd like to ask you a parting question. How have you built your foundation?
I think that so much goes into building who you are. And I have to say that I think that it started off with me being really blessed. I have wonderful parents. My dad was amazing. My mother is this amazing, strong woman who is the strongest person I've ever met. She's strong and independent, and she always supported me in the past and still supports me to this day.
Wow.
And I have two beautiful sisters who are smart and my best friends. And my family. I have my husband, my children, who are amazing people. My 3 children, I'm so proud of how they've grown up into amazing people that are going in their own directions. They're all going in 3 different directions, and they are really becoming people that are going to be positive contributors in the world. And they're going to do a lot of good for a lot of people in the world. So I think that my family is really my foundation. That gives me strength. Like I said, I've been really blessed. I can't ever stop thanking God, thanking for all I have, because it provides a foundation to be strong. I'm strong for my family when I need to be, but they're really the foundation of my life. And they teach you and help you be who you are and who you want to be. So I would say that.
I love that. Do you have any parting words for your audience?
Well, I would just like to say I love the idea that I could help somebody. If there's somebody out there that's listening that is maybe thinking about, should I change my life, even if it's not a point of like retirement where you could quote unquote like officially retire. If there's something out there that's calling you, go to it. And I appreciated the fact that I can come here today, and even if I help one person out there in any way, I'm so happy and I'm so glad about that. And I'm so glad that we became friends and our paths crossed.
Yes, absolutely.
And you invited me here today and asked me just to share a little bit.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate that.
So thank you, AnnMarie, for sharing your courage and your heart with us today. You've been an inspiration, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of your artwork.
Thank you. I will keep sharing it, and I'll come back anytime. So
awesome.
Thanks for the great time today.
Thank you. Today's conversation is such a powerful reminder that retirement isn't an ending, it's a doorway. AnnMarie's journey shows us that identity doesn't disappear when a career ends. It evolves. There is still creativity to explore, joy to find, and entire chapters waiting to be written. No matter where you are in life, approaching retirement, in the middle of a transition, or simply feeling stuck, her story is proof that it's never too late to start fresh. Reinvention isn't about age, it's about giving yourself permission. And to everyone listening, If this episode resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need the reminder that their next chapter can be just as meaningful as their last. Until next time, keep building your foundation, because it really does start with you. Take care.